God's ways are peaceful ways. All his ways towards us lead us to peace. He wants to lead us in his goodness and in his peace. And when we submit our plans to him, it's going to lead to blessing and fruitful outcomes in our lives. We're looking at two chapters, 1 Chronicles 28, 1 Chronicles 29. Here's the context. Here's what's happening, because it helps us understand the moment that we're going to be walking through. King David is at the end of his leadership of Israel. And during his journey, he had a burden to build a house for the Lord. He wanted to build a house for God, a temple that would be for the resting of the Ark of the Covenant. Because remember, the Ark of the Covenant had been traveling. I'm going to build a house for God, and it's going to be a place of rest. And as he prepared to do that, the Lord said to him, no, you can't build it, David. You're a man of war. But your son Solomon, I'm going to raise him up. He'll be a king of peace, and he'll be the one that builds the house of the Lord. And so David was, as we saw last week, began a pathway of legacy. And what is that idea of legacy? Legacy is kind of how they'll remember you. But instead of looking back and just delighting in all the battles he won and defeating Goliath and becoming king and all that, David's legacy was looking ahead. He starts to look forward. And he's saying, how am I going to leave this better for the coming generations? So we looked at this pathway of legacy. Today we look at a pathway called the pathway of planning. Planning, because you're going to see there's going to be some planning taking place. Planning is one of those everyday human instincts that quietly reveals what we believe about control, security, faith, and the sovereignty of God over our lives. Now, show you a picture here. This is a picture of my planner. I am a planner. This is Michael Hyatt's full focus planner. I take it with me everywhere I go, right? It doesn't sleep in the bed with me, and it's not in the pulpit with me, but otherwise I have my planner because I'm taking notes. I have certain tasks that are prioritized that I have to get done. I have soccer games to be on time for and not late to, etc. I have a plan. I have a calendar. I have everything mapped out, and then I'm taking notes throughout the day because clearly, I'm going to have to do some things tomorrow after this meeting today, that type of thing, right? So I have a system of planning. Now, think about planning. We all plan, and we plan in various ways. So think about how we plan. First, we plan daily, right? There's alarms and calendars and meals and workouts and meetings, okay? Then we plan weekly, right? We plan weekly for schedules and practices and games where Second Baptist beats Fort Bend Christian and travel and the like. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I know. I love y'all too, okay? Then there's love them more. Monthly bills, budgets, and goals. Monthly planning. Then there's quarterly planning, strategy, performance, direction, and then annually, vacations and resolutions, school years and finances, and then someday planning, retirement, legacy, dreams, and when things slow down a bit. So planning isn't sinful. As a matter of fact, it's very instinctual. It's part of being made in God's image because we try to bring order to the chaos that happens in our life every single day. So planning and having a good plan and walking a good plan is bringing order to the chaos in our lives. But the truth is that part of our planning is an effort to control things. It's not just to bring order, but sometimes it's actually to control things. Take a look at other aspects to frame planning. There are short-term plans, right? I'll be there at 9. I'll get the project done today. I'll call you tonight. We have a pretty good sense that we can make these plans work. And then there's mid-term plans. These are things that are probable outcomes, right? So it's where I'm going to go to college, career stops along the way, my financial goals, ministry direction. We're assuming some sort of cooperation from life. Then there's the long-term or someday planning that we try to do, and they're also very faith-revealing. One day I'll slow down, maybe take a Sabbath. Someday we'll learn to be generous. When life settles, then I'll obey, right? I'm running out of time and I got to keep going. And this is it feels like a delayed disguise, it's delayed disguised as wisdom. The scripture, friends, talks a lot about plans and planning. Over 100 different passages between Proverbs and the prophetic and the narrative, you're going to see this sense that there's a plan And here's how you, in a man's heart, it says in Proverbs, he plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. And if you could put a bottom shelf statement about what the scripture says about planning, it's this. There's tension, right? You are not wrong to plan, but you are wrong to presume. You're not wrong to plan, but you are wrong to presume, because things don't always work out as they plan, or as they were planned. So as we look at this next part of 1 Chronicles chapter 28, we see an emphasis on a plan and how to walk in that plan. For us, for you personally, and for us corporately, the most important question we can ask is not, do I have a plan, but whose plan is it? Whose plan is it, all right? So 1 Chronicles 28, you're gonna see this movement of a plan. From God's heart to David's heart to Solomon's hands to bless generations. That's the movement. From God's heart to David's heart, from David's heart to Solomon's hands, from Solomon's hands out to bless generations, all right? So again, David's old, he wants to build the temple. God says no, he's looking to leave a legacy. He develops the plan and he tasks his son Solomon to carry it out. And here's the thing about godly planning, why it's so important that our plans are submitted to the Lord. Because God's ways are peaceful ways. All his ways towards us lead us to peace. He wants to lead us in his goodness and in his peace. And so when we plan according to his ways, when we submit our plans to him, it's going to lead to blessing and fruitful outcomes in our lives.